Yep.
3D. Now, this is another one. We are now in the 6th movie.
Yes.
And they decide to go 3D.
A little toward everything is in 3D, still kind of the big blockbusters, but like horror stuff, I think that started dying down a little bit.
I think at this point, probably when they had the idea, they like 3D was kind of because they were going off of Avatar.
Yeah.
And Avatar, the thing with Avatar and why a lot of the studios didn't understand why Avatar was so successful.
Yeah.
It wasn't the 3D. It was the fact that the way that they did the 3D.
I talked about that in the My Bloody Valentine 3D, which I actually like.
Oh, I like it too.
But like Avatar was more than just, it's coming at the camera. It's like, no, it made it feel like the world was bigger, and a lot of other movies didn't get that.
Right, it was like immersive.
Yes.
You know, you were like you're watching it and you're like in the jungle.
Yeah, and they still do 3D. I don't know if anything's changed, but I remember a few years back that like, to get into China, your movie had to be 3D, I think.
Really?
That was like a requirement, I believe. So like, it's like all the new Star Wars and stuff was 3D. I don't know if that's changed since then.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're allowed to do ghost movies in China, so I don't know why they felt like other than they can up the ticket price, because this was definitely at the end.
Oh, yeah, this was definitely at the end.
Yeah.
But I think they did it simply because they were like, well, now with 3D, we can show you what the ghost sees.
Yep.
And honestly, what the ghost sees was kind of cool. Like, that was probably my favorite. But like we had said when before this, it was like there were hokey ghost effects.
Yeah.
But I really I thought the ghost dimension was just cool. Like the door into the, like, I'm like, that is really cool.
It made a cool poster.
It did make a very cool poster.
But here, read our synopsis.
Yes, let me read the synopsis. Here we go. For the first time, you will see the activity, and it's more intense than ever. When a new family moves into Katie and Christie's former house, they discover a mysterious video camera that reveals the presence of an ancient evil that begins to terrorize their lives. Now, with their young daughter's soul in danger, they must fight back against this demonic threat before they're becoming the next victims in this latest chapter in the groundbreaking horror franchise. Notice how they didn't end with, "This will scare the bejesus out of you."
They're like, this one's not that scary.
This one's
don't
not
worry.
really all that scary, but but it's kind of spooky, and you can see.
And then at the end, they
ghosts.
go, "We couldn't get Katie to come back."
Just before we even get into it, I loved the giant Ghostbusters mega VHS camera where they're like, we need to explain how we can see ghosts with it. We've got this look what they filmed this on.
And again, the setup. So the dad in this, he like works on video games. He's like a game developer.
Right.
And I remember when I like heard that, I'm like, oh, maybe he built the camera. Then I watched the fucking movie. So the movie starts where 3 ended. Changed the ending a little bit, but we get to see the girls being interviewed by a guy, and I assume someone said that's not found footage. It's the first time they don't do found footage, but I assume that there was just a cult member holding the camera filming them, and it's like a man in charge of the cult or whatever, and he's like, I used to talk to Toby too, and this is what you're gonna do, and there's a boy out there we have to find, and blah 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 blah. So stupid. Yeah, so we gotta find this boy, and then the movie starts. And they moved into this house, and they find this giant camera, and like it's presumed that the cult built a 3D camera that could see their evil demon lord, and they just left it in the house for the people to use. Why?
Along with all the footage.
Along with all the evidence. Why? Who knows why they did this? I know it's for us to see the ghost or demon, but why did the cult do this? Who's to say? And it's basically revealed throughout that, like, this girl was born the same time as Hunter, and those two need to be child married for Toby to finally take human form. And it has to be done in 1992. It's very convoluted. It's very convoluted. So, you like the ghost dimension stuff, like the wall peeling away.
I thought it was very cool. It was a neat effect. There was a lot of really subtle things that they put in, and some very in-your-face stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole like you'll see the activity. I didn't see this in theaters. I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I feel like that was like the one thing you guys were doing well for most of the franchise, and now it's like now you can see the spooky monster, and I'm like, well, I don't know if that's cool because like again, And when I rewatching it in my VR headset to see 3D, which is why I'm wearing a hat because it messed up my hair, which is why I didn't answer your text right away because I was wearing the headset. I'm like, ghost.
Like, hey, dummy, I'm here.
Yeah. It's less scary because like they're cutting between cameras. And it's like, well, that camera's got all the weird floaty shit, so I know a monster is going to pop out or something scary is going to happen. It totally sucks the suspense out of it. And the ghost demon, it's Venom.
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember when like Venom like doesn't have a host?
Yeah, it's the symbiote Venom.
Yeah.
Not attached to a person. You know.
Wow. Oh no, it's a spaghetti monster. Ooh, which I'm Italian. I'm like, I'll just eat it. I hated this.
Really?
I hated it. The acting is really bad. Like, it doesn't feel natural anymore. Like, doesn't feel like found footage at all.
Oh, well, yeah.
I couldn't really get into the brothers at all. The mom sister was smoking hot. There's some good looking girls in this franchise.
Yeah.
But I was looking at this one in 3D, so it stuck out to me a little bit more. But yeah, this one is just very by the numbers. Like, oh, look at all these tapes. My favorite parts are when they were playing tapes from 3. Because I'm like, oh, I like that one.
Well, I like the little goofy, weird, like, where they're holding the daughter and she sneezes and the girl on the tape's like, bless you, and they're like, whoa.
Yeah, so they're kind of communicating with each other through time.
Through the ghost and time and video footage. And
yeah, just none of the scares do it for me, especially when there's a spaghetti monster floating around. Then those do less for me. And again, it's just like, okay, now the kid's possessed and acting weird. It's like, all right, kind of seen that. Kind of seen this, kind of seen that. I guess there's one good moment is when she's playing Bloody Mary and her hand's like bloody on the mirror and he leaves the camera and you see like a silhouette of a demon hand that goes away. I'm like, that was pretty good.
right.
I wish they all looked like that. And then, but half the time it's like black spaghetti monster, loud noise. I'm like, oh, God damn it. And the revelation here is that it's Katie's house from when she was a kid, rebuilt. The cult specifically picked this family to be there because they knew about her daughter. And Katie pretended to be a realtor. And like, they didn't even, so the cult didn't even make a fake company in case they looked into this. She just gave them the number of a different realtor. And they're like, we don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
Katie's busy.
Yeah, Katie's busy. Yeah, so they were purposely put in the house, and then the cult left the tape of them going, yes, this house will do for our evil plan. And like, at no point do they ever call the cops or like have anyone investigate this. They call a priest.
Right.
And I'm sure he didn't let anyone at the Vatican know about this at all.
Absolutely not.
Remember in The Exorcist where you have to get like a lot
Approval,
of permission to do an exorcism? He's just like, I'll just come back tomorrow and we'll do the exorcism.
Dude, he was freelancing. Like,
Yeah. You know what character I'm shocked they didn't bring back? The parapsychologist from the first one.
Yeah.
There's, in the trailer for 3, there's footage of him doing like an exorcism and he starts banging his head on the table, but he's not in the movie. And I'm like, I thought he was going to come back at some point. This makes it also feel weird, like a final chapter, because Katie's not, I mean, I guess technically she's there as the younger version.
Right.
We don't see the older one. We don't see that guy.
Well, they reference her fairly often.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. It's like that Jason Bourne movie that didn't have Jason Bourne in it.
Right.
The Ultimatum. It's like, yeah, Jason Bourne, he's pretty badass, but I'm Jeremy Renner. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What the hell is this movie? Anyway,
And they're like, we better hurry up and get back to Jason Bourne with the next one.
which I still haven't seen, but Universal Studios spoiled it for me. Because I went to the Jason Bourne Stuntacular, and I guess they could only get Julia Stiles to do the opening, but her character died in the last movie,
Right.
which I didn't know. But she goes, I died, but I really faked my death. I'm like, I don't think you did. I think that's just for this. But I'm like, well, spoiler, now I know you die. I'm like, that's kind of a bummer. Great.
Thanks a lot, Julia.
Good show. The Stuntacular is a good show. But yeah, I could care less about anything that was happening in this. I will say I did like the sheet in this.
We have to finish this. Oh, here, I have it. In the name of Jesus Christ.
So they do an exorcism, and it's an awful CGI face, which again, speaking of Universal Studios, it looks like the Mummy on the Mummy roller coaster. Like the CGI in this is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks like CGI from like not even 10 years ago, like 15 years ago. Like this doesn't feel like it should be in a modern movie.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason it was in a modern movie.
Was this the one too where they're like, "What's that in the pool?" And then the spaghetti monster comes out of the pool.
And the spaghetti monster shoots out of the pool. And by the way, that 3D effect, because of the camera, that was hard to watch in 3D. It was like kind of hurt my eyes.
Maybe it was a little better. Like it's funny. I saw the first one in theaters, saw all the other ones on home video, and then went back to the theaters for this one because I think because basically at the time, YouTube wasn't punishing you for doing like movie reviews. So I was like, that's when I was attempting to do movie reviews again. Yeah. So I went and saw that in the theater, and I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, not all the effects, obviously a lot of bad CG, but a lot of the 3D effects I thought were really cool. And then I was telling you earlier, there was this row of like 12-year-old girls in front of me that were terrified. Apparently it was the scariest movie that they had ever seen. Yeah. So I was reminded who the target audience is. Yeah. It's not me. It's not you. It's the 12-year-old girls.
I guess it's them. But yeah, so again, I know we have one more movie, but this is the final chapter in this story. So how the Paranormal Activity lore ends, if you jump ship like I did and you don't know. So again, Hunter born in 2005, this girl born in 2005, the demon makes the ghost dimension portal, and then they go back in time, or they're in 1992, I think, right?
They went back. Well, yeah, because this was or was this, when was this 92 or was this 88? This was 92?
I want to say 90. They kept saying 92 was when the house burned down. So I'm guessing it's around that time. It's around
92.
We'll just say 92.
But then we see like the demon's feet, you know?
Yeah. So did the kids get like married? Did the demon go into Hunter and become him, or?
I'm guessing the demon went into Hunter and then they got married, and now I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and Toby is now a human, but he's like giant and gooey and doesn't know how to walk.
Yeah. It kind of thump, thump, thump.
And we're led to assume that he's been a human since the 90s, and it's like, wait, so while he's doing how does time travel work in this? When he's doing all the demon stuff, is there also human Toby walking around?
He's really good at multitasking. Like he can demon over here, he can human over here. He's good.
Why does it even want to be a human? He can be a spaghetti monster.
Well, that is always the thing. I want to become human. Okay, well now you can be killed.
Yeah. Like, do you keep your powers?
Like, what is the advantage?
I don't know.
Because that's the thing they never get into. I want to be human. Okay, why?
Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't written that part yet.
I know. And I guess, and then the girl walks off with Toby at the end after he kills like everyone. That exorcism scene was kind of fun where like the sister like vomits acid on the guy's face. The priest gets pulled into the venom cloud. The dad, the fucking hand going through the dad. I died. I'm like, come on. That looks and it looks worse in real 3D. I watched it in 3D and I went, oh no. Oh no. Yeah, the only good scare was the sheet. I thought the sheet when it got real big, and I was hoping it would stay like that, and then it's like, no, it's scary monster face.
Right.
But yeah, now I'm just left with more questions. I'm like, well, where's adult Katie? Who was that other kid? Mm-hmm. What do the witches get in the present get out of the demon going back to the past? And why did the marked one kid, how was he involved in any of this? Where is he? It's very confusing. I don't know what happened here. I feel like we really got lost in the weeds in this franchise.
I think if I sat down with like a notepad
Yeah.
and really like try to anchor this out, I might be able to do like, you know what it would be? It's like the meme
Charlie
of Charlie
Day.
at the, where he's like trying to piece everything together.
Yeah.
It's so convoluted when I think that even they would have a hard time like tying it all together because it all doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the switching between real cameras and the 3D camera kind of killed it for me. Again, you'll see the activity. I'm like, it's scarier when you don't see it. I don't mind Ghost Hallway, but seeing the actual ghost I did not like.
Well, yeah. Like, well, that's one of the problems with Hollywood that they always seem to forget is that
I'm glad
it's
they
not
waited.
what you
Yeah.
It's not what you see, it's what you don't see that's scary.
At least they waited 6 movies to do it.
That is true. Well, you know what? They probably said, all right, look, the last couple ones have kind of been not doing so well.
Yeah.
We got to go all in, and maybe we'll like up the price by making it 3D.
Yeah.
We'll show them the ghosts, and we'll give them a big blowout ending.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Besides Spaghetti Monster, it's just shit we've seen before. And again, the setting, it's like, oh, it's another big suburban house.
Actually, I think this might be the biggest
It
house.
might be the
yet.
biggest one. Again, marked ones that little neighborhood was just enough for me to feel different. And this just did nothing. Christy's daughter, when's she going to come back into play and figure this out?
Who knows?
There's so many loose ends here. And yeah, it's just a sad final chapter. It's very disappointing. No, from a movie that was very simple with very likable characters at the beginning to just being overly complicated with characters I could give a shit about.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very bland note to end on. But don't worry. We came back with a reboot.
Yep.